So a young couple had just moved into a new neighborhood. And they were sitting down their first morning there to have breakfast, and the young man's wife looked out the window and noticed her neighbor hanging laundry out to dry. And she looked at her husband and just started shaking her head and said, I don't think she knows how to do laundry properly. That stuff's still dirty. Or she's not using the right kind of soap, or something's not right. And her husband, in his infinite wisdom, just decided to stay silent on the matter, and just kind of nodded his head and just kind of, oh, okay, dear. And this went on for quite a while. Every morning she would sit there and make the same comments about this neighbor. And then finally it was about a month later that she sat down to have breakfast with her husband and looked up and with great surprise said, oh my God, honey, I think she's finally figured out how to do laundry. Look at how clean all of that stuff is. This is amazing. Someone must have taught her how to do this. And then her husband just couldn't stand it anymore, and he started laughing. And after he kind of calmed down a bit, she said, well, now what was so funny? And he said, well, I have to tell you, honey, I got up a little early this morning, and I cleaned our windows. And that's what we're going to talk about today, not cleaning our windows, but how the windows inside us, our subconscious mind, and how the subconscious within us helps inform how we see the power and presence of God in the world around us. How that subconscious acts as a filter for the way that you see God in the world around you. Now, there exist within each and every one of us 3 different phases of our mind. We have within us a superconscious mind, and the superconscious mind is the Christ presence. It's the level of our mind where we know the truth, we know our connection to God, we know that we're connected to the one divine mind, and we're able to take the divine ideas from it and use them to improve our life. It's the Christ consciousness. This is our superconscious mind. In fact, that superconscious mind tends to be our only true guide through creating and manifesting the life that we want to live. And then we have another phase of our mind. We have what's known as the conscious mind. And this is our thinking mind. This is the mind that processes what's going on around us. It's the level of our mind that sees an idea, an object, or a condition. It's the level of our mind that knows what we are, how we identify ourselves to others. It's our sense of awareness, our sense of knowing. It's the level of mind where we take in an intellectual idea. But see, it's not just enough to take in an intellectual idea. Intellectual ideas are great. But unless we take something from that superconscious level of mind, that idea of the Christ nature, and infuse it into our conscious mind, it does us no good. It just kind of sits in that level of knowing. And so our work then becomes in establishing the connection between that superconscious mind, that realm of divine ideas where we know our connection to God, and our conscious mind, where we see the world working around us. And see, there's a level of mind I've left out here. And that's the subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind is otherwise it's known as the memory mind. But it's more than just the memories that we have. These are memories that have been crystallized within us into forms, into functions. It's the home of our habits. It's the storehouse of any past thoughts, any past experiences. But here's the catch to it. You see, we're not conscious of when that subconscious mind starts working within us. It just reacts. It reacts based on the memories that we've had. It reacts based on the experiences that we've had. And so our work in establishing the connection between the conscious mind and the superconscious mind becomes overcoming the things in our subconscious. It becomes overcoming the past thoughts that we've held true about ourselves. And see, we connect to that superconscious mind by going within. We connect through meditation, through going to the silence, through speaking words of affirmation about ourselves. Now let me give you an example of how this works. So over here, in my superconscious mind, I have the understanding of what divine love is. I know that divine love is the single greatest harmonizing principle in this world. That it is the one thing that connects us all to each other and to the allness that each one of us is. So I understand that as truth from my superconscious Christ mind. But then that idea starts working this way. And then it hits my subconscious mind. And it starts to be shaped by all of the experiences that I've had. All of the times where I've learned that I can't love someone as fully as they should be loved because they're not quite the same as me. All of the times where I reached out and loved to someone else and had that love rejected. Or the times when someone reached out to me and I rejected that love back to them. All of those experiences begin to shape that idea of divine love until it shows up over here in my conscious mind and presents itself as less than that fullness of what I really know it to be. It shows up here and I'm not able to fully love the person in front of me from that level of divine love because it's been filtered through my subconscious mind about what I was told love is. You see, that's what our subconscious mind does. It acts like a filter. It's like the dirty window that the woman had in her house. She wasn't seeing clearly because she was seeing through that lens of her subconscious mind. Now, here's something kind of interesting about that subconscious mind, though. And I assume several of you out here have seen the films, the Men in Black films. And if you have, you'll know they have a device in that movie called a neuralizer they can use to erase somebody's subconscious mind. And then they replace what they saw with what they would rather have them remember. So they tell them, well, you didn't really see aliens landing in Central Park, it was just swamp gas. And then they go on about their day with that as the experience they had. Well, here's what's interesting. If I were to take any one of you and erase your subconscious mind and replace it with mine, replace it with my experiences, with things I've learned, things I've heard, I would actually be standing in front of a copy of myself. I would be confronted with somebody who thinks like me, somebody who reasons like I reason, who believes what I believe, someone who has the exact same experiences that I've had. And so that's where our work becomes in changing that subconscious mind. Because the truth is, our experiences shape our reality. Our experiences inform who we are. Those ideas, those things that happen to you, make up a part of what you are. And there's a very interesting reason why this happens. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, biologists discovered that there were neurons in our brain that they named appropriately mirror neurons. And what they found out was that these neurons would light up and start working when somebody was witnessing something else happening. They would begin to mimic everything they saw, whether it was real or imagined. And this mimicking has a very similar effect on your body as it would if you were actually doing that thing in real life. So these little neurons are the reason why you cry when you see a sad movie. They're the reason why you get excited when your team scores a winning touchdown. They're the reason why you wince when you see an actor in a movie or a TV show experience a painful injury. You see, you're not crying because what you saw on the screen was sad. You're crying for you. You're not excited because the guy just caught the winning touchdown. Your mind thinks you did that. You're not wincing because you thought the actor had an injury. For all your brain knows, you just experienced that injury. And these ideas may sit in your conscious mind for a little while, but then they'll go off and we'll get distracted by something else. But here's the thing, they don't really go away. They slip down into that level of your subconscious. And that's where they take root and begin to work and create within you. And that's not always apparent to you in the outer world, in your outer consciousness. You don't always realize that they're working within you. And then they work out into your body, sometimes at the most inopportune times, either working to raise or lower your expression of your own God self, depending on what the message was that you got in the first place. You see, your mind does not just passively witness the words and actions of others, or even the images that you conjure up in your head through thought. It actively participates in them as they occur. And this mental practice becomes just as powerful as if you were doing it in your real life. I'm sure you've all heard the story of the man who was in the POW camp and practiced playing a round of golf in his mind every day. And that then when he was released from that camp, he went to that golf course and played that round of golf and shot a better score than he had ever shot before in his life. I also happen to know there are a couple of gentlemen here who right now with the snow are playing mental rounds of golf every day. You see, these real life actions, these real life things take root in your body, and then your body begins to act accordingly with or without your conscious permission. Now, the good news here is that we can redeem our thoughts. We can make them a part of the wholeness that we are. Now, is there anybody out here that might have something in your subconscious that you're ready to let go of? A few of you? Excellent. Well, what I'm going to have to ask you to do is just look right here and know that you are the wholeness and the fullness of God. Know that you are the Christ presence. Know that you are whole and perfect exactly as you are. I wish it was that easy. I wish I could just flash the light and have you all know your wholeness exactly as you are. But the truth is, it takes work on our part. It takes observation on your part. You have to observe what's going on in your life. And so I'd like to give you a couple of questions that you can ask yourself. And know that as you answer these questions, that the answers will help point you to what's going on inside your subconscious. So you can ask yourself, what are the things that disturb me? What are the things that bring me joy? What are the things that I ignore? And what is it that drives my life? Knowing what disturbs you can help lead you to an understanding of what the experience was that taught you that that was something to be disturbed by in the first place. Knowing what you ignore can help you find the things that maybe you're afraid of so you can bring them up into your conscious and you can get rid of them. And so what do you do when you identify something in your subconscious that you're ready to get rid of? Well, we affirm and we deny. In the example I gave you earlier about divine love, I might look at the person and say, I deny the appearance of what's in front of me, and I affirm that this person is the whole love of the Christ. And we already know that those mirror neurons are going to begin lighting up. And as they light up, it's going to begin to change you fundamentally at the level of your subconscious. It can't help but not change you. And so we know we can change the thoughts that we've already had. But the other thing that we know is that if you don't replace those thoughts with something else, they're just going to weasel their way right back in, and then you get to replace them a second time. So, how is it that we can maintain our subconscious? Well, one of the things you can do is you can change your mental inputs. You can change the things that you're seeing. And honestly, would you really want it any other way? I mean, going back and doing the work of changing the subconscious that's already there is hard work. It's hard to change a life. But changing the inputs that you see, that's easy. And it can't help but be changed by changing the things that you're looking at. And so let me go ahead and just bring this home for you. You're like a human sponge rolling around on this earth. You're soaking up anything and everything that's in your path and making it a part of who you are. You're like a chameleon that changes your color to match the colors of what's around you. The only difference is that these colors stain and remain a part of who you are. You're like a recorder with your little red light always on, recording everything you see, everything you read, everything you hear. Sure, you might forget it, but that recording gets down into your subconscious. And most of the time when you're speaking, it's a playback of the recording that you've already heard. So no, you can't continue to hang out with the same negative people and have them not affect you negatively. You're stuck with those mirror neurons, and they'll make you act the way your friends act. It's what they do, and you can't control it. But what you can control is the things that you're showing to your inner copycat. And so I'm going to suggest that you show it some pretty cool stuff. Show it people who are succeeding and living productive lives. Show it movies where people are doing heroic things. Show it mental images of you accomplishing your goals. Show it the things you want. Take control of your personal environment and guard your eyes with your life, because they really are the window to your soul, and you truly are what you see. God bless you.